Perfect.
All right, I'll move them up. Can you move them up, Mac, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. I can't.
Right now I'm moving them.
Thanks.
And they have been granted the talk power.
Hey guys,
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Real good. Thank you.
All right. So I invited Faded Paz and Phobos here, who are community managers and the community coordinator. Faded Paz is the coordinator. I'm not really sure what the difference is. I'm assuming one of them is more important than the other. And they actually accepted, which is pretty surprising. And I just want to say this is probably one of the biggest things that we ever really accomplished. Well, we've accomplished a lot, but honestly, this is probably one of the coolest things. It's a nice little thing. I always like to mix it up a bit. All right. So background on DigiRev, we've been around for about 2 years or so. November 2010. We started out with Black Ops, had a bunch of servers, stuff like that. We moved on. We play all different sorts of games. We try and be as interesting and different as possible. So I just really like to thank you for coming. And you guys have anything to say before I start it up?
No, thanks very much for having us. It's always a good idea to get out there and talk to people and answer questions. So thank you very much for having us on.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that all the staff at Red 5 have been really nice, especially the 4 moderators, people like that. I've been talking to Basil for, I don't know, a while now. Really cool dude. So the first question I have for you is, what's life like being a community manager or coordinator, and what does that really entail?
Life is very hectic. So our jobs are basically revolving around this, to go out and communicate with the community in general. And that might be anything from these chats to forums to IRC, live events, community events on servers, anywhere. We're just basically a liaison between the dev team and the community. At Red 5, it's a little bit different. Typically, a community manager would be the sole communicating officer for the community as far as that's concerned. But at Red 5, we have an open communication policy so that developers can talk directly to community can talk directly to developers. And we try to keep that open as much as possible. So you'll see a lot of developers, including Mark Kern, the CEO, Scott Youngma, the lead designer, all the way down to modelers and artists, concept artists, to talking about what they're working on and what's going on in the community. But it's our job to kind of facilitate that and make sure that the message is right, what's going to happen, make sure that they're not getting trolled, and kind of control the communication as much as possible, while still leaving it open so that everybody can get their questions answered. But then the really fun parts of our job are doing the events and doing community events. Like we just went out to PAX East, got to meet all the people there. We did a community meetup where we had a nice get together at a bar, and I got to talk to a lot of new people and really have some fun. Flying people into the studio to do tests and things like that is a lot of fun as well. And it's a lot of just doing that and kind of keeping control over everybody that's joining in, welcoming new members, making sure the current members are satisfied, and making sure all the bugs and issues with the game are reported and confirmed with the developers. And it's a lot of just project management.
That's really good, especially considering I can't really name another game where the community managers or developers have really done that before. Definitely. So we talked about this before, but how did you get where you are today? Like, what led up to this point?
Well, so my story is that I've been in the customer service, technical support industry for a long time. Previous to Red 5, I was doing network administration for a company that did load testing and performance monitoring on websites. So it's a very different job than community manager. But throughout that entire time, I was working with community sites for a game called Tribes. For those of you that may have played Starships Tribes, Tribes 2, Tribes Vengeance, before Ascend came out. But I ran the fan site called tribalwar.com for about 10 years, along with a few other people. And I got to know Scott Youngblood through that because he was the lead designer of Tribes and Tribes 2. And then he happened to get a job here at Red 5 and recommended me for the community manager position. And 4 years ago, as of a couple weeks ago, that's when I started at Red 5 and became the community manager for Firefall. Pez is an interesting story, is that Pez and I have actually been playing Tribes together for 13 plus years. And so I knew him. He helped me out with the forums early on as a volunteer moderator. And then when I had a job opening, I went ahead and offered him the job, and he moved out from New Jersey to come out and work for us.
Very nice. So I saw on YouTube that you guys had an interview with Athene. Is that correct?
Yeah, Frank, that's all you. You actually did that interview.
The interview with Athene, yeah. That guy's he's amazing. He's really passionate about his stuff, and he's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. So was he easy to reach? Because he's pretty popular online, I have to say.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was he easy to get in contact with, or did he contact you?
No, I believe we contacted him, and yeah, he's pretty easy to reach. And pretty much we reached out to him, said, hey, we want to do something with you, and he was all about it. He was very excited. He'd heard about the game before, and he wanted to know more about it. So him and Reese really. What happened was actually they came to our booth at Gamescom, and that was the first time I actually interviewed with him and actually Swifty, and they were just impressed by our Gamescom booth, and they had heard about the game before. They were a little shoddy on some of the details, so when we had a conversation afterwards, they were really excited about what we had to offer. And Athene was also a big fan of League for Gamers, which I then passed him over to Mark to talk about League for Gamers.
Cool. So I have to say, if you can get Athene on this TeamSpeak, and if we can do a little live stream with him, I will go and personally buy the $100 pack for founding members.
Right now? What
Right
time
now.
is it in Belgium? I don't even think he's awake.
Oh,
I don't think I can fulfill that request.
That's right. I didn't mean right now, but I mean
Dress big
sometime
fans
in
of
the
Athene.
future. Yeah, big fan. I've been watching Athene since God,
Grade 12.
2006 or something. Yeah, it wasn't 12 in 2006. It was like 18. So this is a big question, considering that you guys have always been connected with the community. But how do you know when to implement a change suggested by the community, and how much of the game's content right now is based off of user feedback?
Oh, it's a tough one. Community. The interesting thing is that community feedback is very similar and very different than internal feedback. We're all gamers at Red 5, so we have a lot of the same thoughts that you guys do. And then when we read the community has the same ideas, we typically rush off and use that as proof. Look, I'm right. Obviously they all love this too, so we should do this right now. But really what ends up happening is we all kind of sit down and we talk about all the feedback that we've gotten when working on a particular new feature. And we talk about things that people have talked about on the forums. We talk about things that we've seen in other games. We talk about our own personal opinions, and we talk about just what would fit with Firefall, what would make the game more fun. And then we implement that. So it's hard to put a finger on to say this specific idea was implemented because specifically the community asked for it. Typically what happens is a conglomeration of a bunch of different things with hints and teases towards the community feedback that ultimately get in, and we base it on that. Because of the fact that it's really hard to say that guy had the perfect idea, we're going to implement that one idea. But that's not to say that hasn't happened. It's just we don't keep track of it per se. So there could be, like, Scott's reading the forums and he reads a really good idea, but then he brings it up in a meeting, never really mentioning the fact that that was an idea from Billy Bob 32 on the forums. He just mentions it as an idea, and then we all go, hey, that's really good, and we implement it, or we don't, and we try to see that out. But the bigger thing that we do is we respond to overall trends with the community. We look at the data that we get internally. We look at the feedback that we get. We do surveys a lot that you guys may have seen. And we get all that feedback back, and we take a look at it and say, well, what is the core problem here? Not necessarily the suggestions for improvement, but what problems is everybody kind of agreeing on? And then we try to identify what would fix that problem the best and what's going to move us towards a better game overall. And that's kind of how we incorporate community feedback.
Yeah, I feel like maybe me being cynical, but with other games, community feedback has been, okay, you need to nerf this, you need to nerf that, you need to nerf that, and before you know it, the game it's not fun anymore. It's drifted so far away from what it originally was that was fun, that it just is ruined. Like, for instance, Battlefield 3. I don't want to bring it up, gang, because we were talking about it before, but when the game first came out, we thought it was great, and then they started nerfing things and changing things that, I don't know, maybe it was just the vocal majority, but in my opinion, it ruined the game. It was better before they even patched it the first time. So definitely appreciate that you're having some constructive criticism when it comes to incorporating community feedback and actually just doing it the proper way. All right, so as far as PAX East was concerned, what was that like exactly, especially for a game that's really being talked about online a lot now?
Well, so PAX East this year was actually really quite easy for us. We've gone to PAX East twice before. We've gone to PAX Prime 3 times now. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Pez. But so this year at PAX East, all we did was we had our statue out front just to say, hey, Firefall's cool, and handed out some posters and stuff. And then we did a private press conference where we invited community members and press members to come, have lunch, sit down, talk about what we're doing with the game, talk about all the changes we're making, introduce some new things, like we talked about Stage 5 TV, which is kind of a video channel that we pushed out to introduce gaming content to the web, and that builds into a larger plan for the future for Red 5. But we talked about all those different things and just did a quick press conference, so it took about an hour. Then we did Firefall Live, which is something that Pez, myself, and The Cheese, which is another community member, we do Firefall Live, which takes place every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We do one on Twitch, and so we just did that live at that PAX, which was cool because we had a live audience at that point, which was nice. But after that, it was pretty much us cruising the show and having a lot of fun. And then we did a bunch of press interviews. So it was really simple this year, but PAX is a lot of fun. If you've never gone, I highly recommend going to PAX. It's one of my favorite shows. It's a lot better than like an E3 or a GDC, especially for gamers, because it's all about consumer. And it's a lot of different types of games. Like, hell, Pez and I went and played D&D twice, which was a lot of fun. So you can do all kinds of tabletop, card games, PC games. PAX is a really good show.
Yeah, I think DigiRev as a whole should probably look into having a quick meetup for PAX next year, but we have to watch to see when the tickets go on sale, because I know they sell out pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so would you be willing to play Firefall with us at all, ever?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Because we do host game nights every Tuesday night, so we'll definitely be having more Firefall game nights. So if you guys can join us, I know, like I said, Basil said he wanted to join us, but he's been busy with school and all that, one of the forum moderator guys. So if we can get you all in here, that'd be just really wonderful.
Yeah, I
let us
mean,
know when.
Exactly. I mean, I like to play with a lot of community members all the time, and there's other people that stream that, I'll hop on and play with them while they're streaming and stuff like that. So do that quite often. So yeah, just let us know when.
Okay. So let's move on to more game-based questions. And the really burning question for me, because I feel like just in the past, there haven't been a lot of new releases that have really kept our attention for more than probably 6 or 7 months. Will you be constantly updating content, missions, and game modes to ensure people keep playing? Like, what's the strategy to keep Firefall interesting for years after the game was originally released?
So we like to say that we have over 5 years of content planned out, and what that means is that we've actually got like a storyline that we want to release over the next 5 years that just continues to push those PvE missions and then PvE story. It's really an in-depth story that can last for quite a while. On top of that, we have all the kind of features that we want to add, like the open world PvP, additional arena-based maps, our esports pushes. There's a lot to Firefall. It meets a lot of needs for a lot of different people. It does make it harder to create that kind of game. Obviously, we're trying to please a lot of different people. But if we do it right, we have a lot to offer for a lot of different people. And we just need to keep that content up. As long as people are, obviously supporting the company, we can continue to support the game. So we'll continue pushing out content. We've been a little bit slow just in the past couple times here because we have been doing some major system overhauls, so that's taken a little bit longer. But typically we like to release patches every 2 weeks to keep doing balance changes, add new content, and really push out content as we develop it. I think that's one of the big things that differentiates Red 5 from other developers is that we push out content early and then get feedback on it as quickly as possible. So like what's in this game right now with the crafting system and things like that, those are pretty rudimentary systems that are in there right now with horrible UI and things that are broken. But it's important for us to get the feedback early so that we can make changes. That's been our motto throughout beta, and that's why beta has been lasting so long. We don't want to just release a marketing beta and have you test out the game and then release them 2 days later and then have everything broken and people don't like the game and we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot. better for us to take our time, get that feedback